From Tampa Bay's #1 news station, this is the Fox 13 5 o'clock news.
I would like to implore you all to look at the drainage, look at these creeks.
All of those systems were not designed for a 17-inch rainfall event.
Fired up about flooding. Local residents voicing their frustrations to county leaders, why they say Mother Nature isn't entirely to blame for their problems.
Once this is destroyed, it can never be brought back.
The pushback continues against a controversial plan to bring more recreation and even a hotel to state parks, why protesters want to keep those parks just the way they are.
When Pasco County closed, then, you just pretty much took away half the pie.
And a month-long pause on scalloping in Pasco County has been lifted, but has the damage already been done financially to this year's season? Good evening, I'm Haley Hines.
And I'm Chris Cato in for Linda Hurtado. Well, weeks after Hurricane Debbie brushed past Tampa Bay, residents in two of our hardest hit counties went before county commissioners today wanting answers and wanting more done. They're asking that more be done about the flooding that they experienced, flooding that they've never seen before in parts of Manatee and Sarasota counties. A recent assessment shows Debbie did about $100 million worth of damage in those two counties.
Some Sarasota residents believe the surge in construction is partly to blame for the flooding that inundated their neighborhoods. While in Manatee County, many have questions about recent water releases from the Lake Manatee Dam. That is where we'll begin. Fox 13's Ariel Placencia was at the Manatee County Commission meeting today. So what happened, Ariel?
Well, Haley, a discussion about recent flooding and the Lake Manatee Dam was not on the agenda for today's meeting, but county commissioners brought in experts to talk about these topics after several residents brought up their frustrations during the public comment section. Now, there was also a very long discussion today about improving communication between residents and the county. So also today, county commissioners voted to allow people to call into their meetings, basically allowing people to make public comment by phone down the line. Now, in addition, if you go on Facebook and you go on the Manatee County, Florida government page, you'll see that you can't write any comments on their posts. Well, also today, the county asked their county attorney to review their social media procedures so that they can have a discussion at their next meeting and get those comments turned back on. Haley.
Interesting. I think we all know with social media, people tend to tell you exactly what's on their mind at the moment. All right, we'll see what happens. Ariel, thank you. This was Sarasota County's first commission meeting since Debbie, and several residents showed up with a few demands. Commissioners had originally told residents to expect 6 to 8 inches of rain over a number of days, but what they got was 17 inches in 24 hours. Now they're asking commissioners to pump the brakes before signing off on future developments until a review of drainage and stormwater systems can be done.
The more the community is paved, the more the development takes over what is the natural ability to absorb water and to absorb runoff, the more flooding we will all see.
The county says they are looking into what caused all that flooding. The head of Public Works also told commissioners they're looking into a potential breach of a berm between Cowpen Slough and Philippi Creek, among other things.
Let's take you to a news alert now in Polk County. Tough situation here. A train hit a pickup truck, killing the driver of the truck. This is a live look now. This is live from Skyfox. The crash happened along the tracks near Kathleen Road between Deason and Spivey Roads. Again, this is in Polk County. We're told this cargo train was not hauling any cargo, and the driver of the truck was the only person inside the vehicle. We're still working to find out why the truck was on the tracks in the first place, but you can expect, certainly you see the trains up there, delays right there around Spivey and Deason off of Kathleen Road in Polk County. Well, protests are gathering steam across Florida as opposition grows to a plan by the DeSantis administration that would have recreational facilities like pickleball courts, disc golf courses, even hotels built at several state parks. Now, the developer of one of the golf course plans has backed out. That was one that was proposed for Dickinson State Park near West Palm. But again, the developer saw the backlash and backed out of that deal. That doesn't mean another developer can't step in, though. Now, protesters at Honeymoon Island State Park, right here in our backyard, are demanding that the rest of the proposals also be withdrawn. Will that happen, though? Fox 13's Evan Axelbank has been following this story for days, live in Dunedin now with the latest on the protest and any response from the DEP. Evan.
Yeah, and these protesters are roundly rejecting the idea that there are people clamoring to play pickleball in state parks. They just hope their government is listening. And the state has not said yet when the public hearings will be rescheduled for. They were originally expected to be held today. The state has insisted that these proposals can be carried out without harming the natural habitats that are here. And no, Chris, we have not yet gotten a response from the DEP beyond their initial acknowledgement that we were seeking comment. That came yesterday.
You took the question out of my mouth, so I'll ask a different one. Have we heard anything from Governor DeSantis since this was his plan, this Great Outdoors initiative?
Yeah, we have not yet for the last couple of days. This story really blew up over the weekend, and now we're into Monday and Tuesday here. So we'll see if the governor has asked about it during one of his press conferences, which are often frequent, although we are coming up to the Labor Day weekend. So sometimes there's a lid on press conferences, but you never know. Certainly Governor DeSantis is known for being eager to take questions and holding press conferences around the state.
Yeah, I think he's here in Tampa this week for the governor's conference on tourism. So perfect opportunity to put it to him there, and we will see if he answers. Thanks, Evan.
A Treasure Island man whose wife was killed when a plane crashed into a Clearwater mobile home park is filing a wrongful death lawsuit against the plane's owner. The tragedy happened back in February at the Bayside Waters mobile home park just off US 19. Mary Ellen Pender was visiting her friend Martha Perry when a single-engine plane crashed into the neighborhood. Both women were killed, along with the pilot who was trying to make an emergency landing at St. Pete Clearwater Airport after reporting engine failure. The lawsuit claims the pilot and plane's owner, Control Data Incorporated, failed to maintain and operate the plane in a safe manner. Now to an update to an attempted armed robbery at the Ellenton Outlet Mall. 2 of the 4 suspects involved have been arrested. Detectives say 38-year-old Marquise Kraft and 42-year-old Ronnie Wilson were the getaway drivers in the case. This was back on August 14th. Surveillance video shows 2 masked men enter the Gold Palace jewelry store, and at one point, one of the suspects fires a weapon. An employee at the store then pulled out a gun and fired as well, but no one was hit. The Manatee County Sheriff's Office is still looking for the 2 in-store suspects.
Wow. The employee fired and fired back. Goodness. All right, still to come here at 5. Who is to blame for the high cost of living?
Well, if you ask the Trump Vance ticket, they will point to the current administration.
She cast the tie-breaking vote to send interest rates and mortgages through the roof.
Ahead at 5:30, we check in on the campaign trail where the focus has turned to the economy. What the candidates are proposing to put money back into Americans' wallets.
But first, the announcement that is exciting scallopers across Tampa Bay. Harvesting season in Pasco County will resume tomorrow after the state had to put a pause on it. Hear what the past month has been like for those whose livelihoods depend on those scallops. That's next. Boy, some boat captains are breathing a sigh of relief today. That's because the FWC announced that scalloping season is reopening tomorrow in Pasco County. You know, the Pasco zone was closed for more than a month after high levels of toxins were detected in the water. Fox 13's Kylie Jones joins us live now from Pasco County with more on what this means for those whose livelihoods depend on scalloping. Kylie?
Yeah, Chris, well, some captains here in Pasco County and beyond say that scalloping season is so big for them that sometimes it can make up for the rest of the year. And they're very excited to hear this news. They say captains from Pasco County all the way to Citrus were feeling the effects of this month-long closure. Now, scalloping season will now stay open for about another month. It'll run through September 24th. The FWC says it will continue to monitor scallops and water quality. Chris.
Kylie Jones live in Pasco County. Thanks, Kylie. And while we're on scallops here, Tampa Bay Watch and the Tampa Bay Estuary Program announced some exciting news today. The results from this year's Great Bay Scallop Search. Volunteers found 263 scallops. That's the most in 15 years. Last year, they found only 26. This event was held this past Saturday. The organizations count the local scallop population as a way to monitor the overall health of the bay.
Now you love to hear
That is good news, yeah.
If the bay's healthy, then a lot of things are healthy.
Well, hence why they shut down the harvesting there in Pasco County for a month. You had these algae blooms, and you know, we eat scallops, so you don't want to eat any scallops that are harvested with those toxins in them. So I'm glad for the scallopers there that they can resume operation again.
Yeah. All right, Jim, what's going on out there?
You know, today really just kind of shows you how each day is a little bit different. We all get kind of into that routine where we think each day we're just going to see those afternoon showers and thunderstorms come rolling through 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we do have some storms, but compared to yesterday where we had these big thunderstorms rolling through the area, flooding rains over into Pinellas County. Just not going to see that kind of a repeat today. You look at our various cameras, except for the birds flying at them. I mean, you're seeing a lot of blue skies. You're seeing the sun out there, warm temperatures. We're seeing these temperatures today climbing into the mid-90s. You look at the visible satellite loop and you see some of these clouds starting out over on the other side of the state, and they're slowly working their way across the state. But as you look at the water vapor imagery, kind of tells you what's going on. And I mentioned this yesterday, we'd actually have some drier air working its way in, and there you see it on that water vapor imagery. It's just enough to cut back on those rain chances where we had just numerous showers and thunderstorms yesterday. Today you look at it and just not a whole lot going on. We do have that afternoon sea breeze that is slowly working its way through Hillsborough County. You're also seeing this down into Pinellas County, but you look down into southeastern Hillsborough County, down into Manatee, you see that sea breeze pushing away from the coast. You also see that breeze coming across the state. So this is an area that we're going to be watching probably over the next half an hour to 45 minutes. You can see a few scattered showers over in the Polk County. We'll likely see some more of these storms developing as these breezes come together. You look down into Manatee and Sarasota. There's that breeze right through here. You actually see another one working its way to the north, and then you see this one pushing on towards the west. So in this area, again, we are going to see some more storms developing here as we go through the next half an hour to 45 minutes. And also to our north, we'll see a few more scattered storms. But again, the overall coverage, the intensity of the storms, just not going to be at the same level as what we saw yesterday. Here in Tampa right now, we're at 93 degrees. Brandon, 95. Down in the St. Petersburg, 95, along with Clearwater. Away from the coastline, you're seeing those temperatures in the lower 90s. But because you're not seeing the storms around in the same number, you're seeing that heat index, 105, 110 in many locations. It's going to really take some time to cool things down as we head through this evening, but we still have some of those scattered showers working their way across the state and plenty of moisture across the Gulf of Mexico. But again, we're looking at this big ridge of high pressure really keeping a good portion of the country quiet. You look through Ohio, down through the Mississippi Valley, through the Great Lakes. They have some storms working their way through there, but outside of those rain areas, you see that temperature. St. Louis right now, 102 degrees. Kansas City, 98. Chicago currently at 98 degrees. So a lot of heat right through the middle of the country. So watch these storms working their way towards the west coast, eventually heading out into the Gulf of Mexico. Things will wind down tonight, and then we'll kind of reset. We'll see more storms as we head through the mid to late afternoon hours for tomorrow as well. In the tropics, it's not there yet, but computer models are indicating that an area low pressure could be forming across the central Atlantic over the next several days. Not in the short term, but 5, 6, 7 days out, we could be looking at this. You look at the Fox model, really not seeing much, but maybe a little hint of a little rotation in there as we head towards the weekend, latter part of the weekend. Of course, we're heading into Labor Day. You want to kind of keep tabs on that, but it's way out there. So after the storms wind down for tonight, partly cloudy skies, warm night, low temperature down to 78, and then we'll see the morning sun and some scattered storms as we head through tomorrow afternoon. Daytime high at 93 degrees. 7-day forecast. Rain chances holding right around 50% all the way into the weekend, and those daytime highs in the low to mid 90s. Haley.
All right, Jim, thanks. Still ahead, turning an abandoned hospital into affordable housing. How a groundbreaking today is marking a significant milestone in St. Pete. Next. It was a groundbreaking day in St. Pete. After sitting vacant for close to a decade, the Edward White Hospital is getting a second life. City and county leaders broke ground on the building's next chapter today. Fox 13's Kaylee Tracy shows us how the campus is being transformed into affordable housing for seniors. The Edward White campus is expected to open in 2 years. Coming up, Florida smoke shops fearing the worst heading into November. Why they're concerned Amendment 3 will cause them to lose business. Plus,
now that the conventions are both over, both presidential campaigns have hit the ground running and are focusing in on the economy, one of the top issues with voters. I'm Connor Hansen in New York, and I've got the details coming up.
With less than 70 days until Election Day, the campaign for president is heating up.
Yeah, both candidates are hitting the road this week trying to sell their plans for the economy. As Fox's Connor Hansen shows us, the candidates see this as a top issue for voters. Connor, thank you. Well, back here in Florida, an unexpected industry is among those pushing back against Amendment 3, which would legalize recreational marijuana. Some in the hemp industry are worried that if Florida voters approve the amendment, interest in hemp products will drop dramatically. Scott Johnson stopped by some different smoke shops in the Jacksonville area to let them air their concerns. Scott Johnson reporting there. Now, if you're wondering what's the difference between marijuana and hemp products like the Delta 8 and Delta 9 gummies, they all come from the cannabis plant and they all contain THC, the psychoactive component of cannabis. But hemp contains far less THC than marijuana, only 0.3% to marijuana's 15% or more. And although Delta 8 and Delta 9 have strong effects, the reason they're legal and marijuana isn't is because laws that criminalize marijuana did not specifically mention Delta products, so sellers are using that loophole to legally market it.
Opponents of Florida's death penalty have stepped up their calls to stop the execution of convicted killer Lauren Cole. Cole, now 57 years old, is sitting on death row for the 1994 murder of John Edwards, a Florida State University student who was camping with his sister in the Ocala National Forest. Cole is scheduled to be executed this Thursday by lethal injection, but his attorneys have now asked the U.S. Supreme Court to halt the execution, citing issues related to his Parkinson's disease. There's also a growing push to spare Cole's life because of the abuse he suffered as a student at the notorious Dozier School.
Even though his crimes have been terrible and have hurt others, that he also is a Dozier School survivor. So there have been tremendous abuse that has happened to him that he never received mental health for until he was in death row.
If the High Court denies the motion, Cole would be the first inmate executed in Florida since October and the 106th inmate executed since Florida reinstated the death penalty in 1976.
And new here at 5, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office says it has cracked a cold case from 1995. Investigators back then found human remains along Beers Avenue near I-275. They learned that the man had died of natural causes, but they couldn't identify him. Yet they still wanted to give his family closure, so detectives reviewed the case last year, and with the help of a lab, they were able to identify the remains of a man named Christopher Mamana. They later learned that he had a headstone at Easton Cemetery in Pennsylvania, but no records of him ever being buried in the plot. So they were able to find his nieces and made the connection, giving his family closure after 1995.
Well, still to come, the annual kickoff to an event known to save lives.
Yeah, we're headed out to the Seminole Hard Rock Casino and Hotel to check in with our own Linda Hurtado as she is making strides against breast cancer.
But before we go to break, here is a look at how the markets ended the day on Wall Street. They are all in the green as the Dow rose 9, the NASDAQ climbed 29, and the S&P closed 8 points higher.
Take a look at this. Tattoos taken to a whole new level. And to the naked eye, they don't exist.
Normally, no one's going to see it other than the UV light.
But why?
UV ink. It's unusual.
We'll shed some UV light on a new kind of tattoo tonight at 10.
We are in the final days of August here, so now is the time to build your team for the annual Making Strides Against Breast Cancer Walk in October.
That is why the American Cancer Society is holding its kickoff event tonight, and our own Linda Hurtado is the MC. She joins us live from Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, rocking her pink, of course. And Linda, this is always an exciting time of year.
It is such an exciting time for so many people in this community. And for those of you who were watching Chris and I earlier at 4, I did change. I left the food truck and put on my pink to come out here to the Hard Rock because they are hosting what is called the kickoff party. And the doors just opened right now. And we're expecting about 400 people. And the whole gist of this is to get excited about putting a team together to raise money for the American Cancer Society. And I'd like to introduce you to one of the biggest cheerleaders for the cause, Danielle. Red, come on over here, Danielle. See, I told you she was a cheerleader. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Just want to make sure that people know that the money that's raised here stays here. We have the Hope Lodge. We have the driving service that takes people to and from, like chemotherapy treatments, research, resources for people to call. So when you raise money for the American Cancer Society in Tampa, it stays in Tampa. I'm so looking forward. I'm going to MC the kickoff and do my cheerleader thing. Chris and Haley, you know, this is coming from the heart from me and from all of my my friends and family at Fox 13.
Yeah, it really is such a special day and a fun day, as you said, going out there, getting together, all being a little family, but of course supporting people like you, Linda, and Danielle as well. So we're really looking forward to it.
And Linda, a cheerleader
Thanks, guys.
routine?
Oh, yeah.
How about majorette? A majorette routine, right? I mean, that's your calling card.
What, are you challenging me to twirl?
Yeah,
I could do that, you know.
I think that should happen.
Chris Cato challenging me to twirl. I don't know.
She would do anything, anything for the American Cancer Society. She's a great ambassador. Thanks, Linda.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, coming up in sports, the Bucs settle on a 53-man roster. Final cuts have now been made, so what to make of the youth infusion on this Bucs roster? Plus, it's officially game week for the Bulls. Up next, we'll catch up with Alex Golish as his team looks to improve on their turnaround from last year and meet even higher expectations. That's next in sports.
As the U.S. Open takes over New York, we're serving up all the star style from the blue carpet. Next, Access Hollywood.
Tonight at 7 on Fox 13. Now, Fox 13 meteorologist Jim Weber with your Sky Tower radar forecast.
Really a big difference compared to what we saw this time yesterday. We were looking at a view like this, and we had big thunderstorms rolling through the area today. Nice, quiet, tranquil, but hot. 95 degrees in South Tampa, but with the light winds, water looking like glass. You can see just the reflections there. Just a beautiful looking view along Bayshore Boulevard looking towards downtown. Now, True Color Satellite Loop showing some of these building clouds. We do have a few showers that are working their way across the state, but I mentioned this yesterday that we were going to have a little bit of drier air working its way in to be enough that it would cut back on those showers and thunderstorms. And here it is on Sky Tower radar. You can see some scattered storms over in the Polk County and also down to our south, but we're watching those afternoon sea breezes. This time of the year, that's really a big mechanism that helps to lift that air up into the atmosphere and fire off more of those storms. Right now, we've got this one boundary pushing through central and northern Hillsborough County. Be watching along that as that continues to work its way on towards the east. Down to our south, we're seeing some of these boundaries kind of working their way together down into Manatee County. You can see the afternoon sea breeze, and then you see that breeze coming up from the south and the east. So right along through this area here, say from Sun City Center all the way down towards downtown Bradenton, down towards Bayshore Gardens. Going to be watching this area over the next, say, 15 to 30 minutes for more storms developing. You do see some storms over into southern and southeastern Manatee County, kind of working their way up towards the north. But to our north, you're not seeing a whole lot of activity. A couple of quick little showers kind of working their way through Hernando County. So you don't get the rain, you get the heat. 93 degrees right now here in Tampa. Brandon, you're at 95. Same over in St. Petersburg. Bradenton, 94 degrees. Clearwater currently at 95. Then once you factor in that dew point number, which in many cases is running in the mid to upper 70s, so that heat index, pretty much everywhere you go. We do have some of these scattered showers working their way across the state, more moisture out into the Gulf of Mexico, but just Like yesterday, this big ridge of high pressure kind of situated over the eastern third of the country, so really keeping a good portion of the east quiet. You see some storms working their way through the Great Lakes, which is at least helping to cool them down because there's a lot of heat under this big high. 102 right now in St. Louis, Indianapolis at 93. Nashville currently sits at 99 degrees and lots of heat all the way up towards the northeast. But as the front continues to work its way through those areas, they will start to cool down over the next couple of days. No fronts heading in our direction. We will continue with those easterly winds. We clear everything out, reset for tomorrow, some morning sun, and then watch for another decent round of showers and thunderstorms as we head through tomorrow afternoon. So 4, 5, 6 o'clock as we head through the afternoon. That'll be the prime time for some of those storms. So in the tropics, we haven't had a whole lot going on. This is something we'll be watching. Yeah, it's not there yet, but computer models indicating that we could see an area of low pressure developing across the middle of the Atlantic as we head into the weekend and into next week. And we'll watch for the possibility of some development. Storms will wind down for tonight, partly cloudy. Overnight low down to 78. Then for tomorrow, scattered clouds, mid to late afternoon showers and thunderstorms, and a daytime high at 93 degrees. Here's a 7-day forecast. Daytime highs in the low to mid 90s. Those rain chances holding right around 50% all the way into the weekend. Scott.
Thank you, Jim. So that 4 o'clock deadline for NFL roster cuts is now come and gone. The Bucs have settled on their final 53 well before that deadline. But head coach Todd Bowles is saying today that they still may do some tinkering with that roster based upon which players hit that waiver wire. But he's happy with the guys they have right now. 44 of the 53 players the Bucs have were either drafted by or signed as undrafted rookies with the Bucs. And today they went through their first practice with that trimmed down 53-man roster. There are a few new additions to the team, including 2 undrafted players in quarterback Tyreek Funderburk and wide receiver Cameron Johnson. Johnson comes over from Division II school Barton College in North Carolina, a school that just brought football back in 2020. This Bucs team is a mix of youth and vets, and Chris Godwin is excited about some of the young talent joining the fold.
The young guys are getting so much better, like as they're coming into the league, and I'm excited for those guys to get the opportunities. You know, we got a couple young guys in our room that's going to be their first NFL regular season experience. So it's like I remember that time for me and how exciting that was, and just how fortunate we all are. So I'm excited for those guys to get the opportunity.
Now, while we still have to wait an extra week and a half for the Bucs to kick their season off, the wait for USF football is officially over. The Bulls host Bethune-Cookman in their season opener this Saturday. Our Sean Barry has more on how head coach Alex Golesh of the Bulls plan to meet their new expectations.
A new season for USF football, and the first game week officially here.
You could tell they're giddy about getting to play somebody else.
That excitement, that giddiness felt by the players and coaches, but also a feeling shared by the fans as well.
Especially off of what we did last year, especially on how we recapped the season last year, for sure.
That hasn't always been the case over the past few years, however.
Let's go, gentlemen.
But after the Bulls' quick turnaround and bowl game championship last season, that excitement level, it's been raised.
You can't ignore that type of stuff. So, yeah, obviously it gets us a little riled up for the upcoming season.
But with the rise in excitement, so too comes the rise in expectations.
The fact there are expectations is awesome. That's what it should be.
Expectations the Bulls must now try to meet.
This is a place that should have expectations. This is a place that should win every year. This is a place that, with the resources we have and we've been given, we should expect to win every week.
But despite their best efforts to keep all of that outside noise exactly there on the outside of this program, it's not really about that for Alex Golesh and his Bulls, because for them, it's about internalizing that noise, holding themselves accountable every week.
We spent a lot of time over the last 6 months talking that's real, but also talking about our inner circle, which is your coaches, your teammates, the people in this building. Nobody else's opinion matters.
An inner circle that the Bulls hope keeps them moving forward and not moving in circles.
And that's been hard. That takes a lot of buy-in and a lot of trust.
But ultimately, the excitement, the expectations, the Bulls will try to meet them.
And we will, whenever that time comes, that we're actually ready for that.
And meet them head on. In Tampa, I'm Sean Barry, Fox 13 Sports.
Should be a fun season for the Bulls ahead. Of course, Bethune-Cookman, and I know nobody there is looking ahead, but then within the first month of the season, you got Bama, you got Miami, so this team's going to be tested. And we'll see. I mean, this should be a team that certainly hang with the heavyweights in the American Conference.
I think they can. I'm very high on them, 7, 8, 9 wins even. I will give you this fact as the resident Alabama fan. When they go to Tuscaloosa, that will be the night that the University of Alabama christens Nick Saban Field, with Saban himself returning for the first time since his retirement. So what a night for an upset that would be.
So they'll be all punch drunk with Nick Saban love, and that'll be an opportunity.
And the Bulls can rip those goalposts right down if they need to.
There you go.
All right, thanks, Scott.
You got it.
Coming up, what do utility companies and mangroves have in common? Well, they both do a lot of restoration work. The unexpected collaboration to restore our shorelines is next.
Fox 13 News is sponsored by Optimum Healthcare Medicare Advantage plans.
Well, Duke Energy and Tampa Electric are obviously no strangers to restoration work. Restoring power is an everyday job for them, and of course it's a bigger one, an around-the-clock job during hurricane season. But today those utility companies turn their attention to a different kind of restoration project. More than 40 volunteers from Duke, TECO, and several conservation groups spent their day planting almost 700 red and black mangroves. They did this at 2 locations, E.G. Simmons Regional Park in Ruskin and near Keystone Carlton Road in Pinellas County. This is important because mangroves not only provide habitat and refuge for a variety of fish and wildlife, they also help reduce coastal erosion and improve water quality. And this was the first time Duke and TECO have teamed up on an environmental resilience project like this one.
We're power companies, and we restore power after storms, and we are used to collaborating in times of crisis and to solve communities' problems. And so that's exactly how this came about. We worked together to make this a better place.
Also involved in this project was the Coastal Conservation Association and their partners with Hillsborough and Pinellas County. They help select the locations for the mangroves based on need and environmental factors. Glad to have them. Stay right there. The Fox 13 6 o'clock news starts right now.